From the Yale Center for Faith and Culture, this is For the Life of the World, a podcast about seeking and living a life worthy of our humanity. Welcome, listeners. I'm Evan Rosa, and this is a bonus clip from episode 216 of For the Life of the World, an episode we called Art and Sacred Resistance. It's with the painter, writer, and educator, Bruce Herman. Bruce says, we were made by a maker to be makers. And when we let that go, when we become mere consumers, Bruce says we begin to enter into some kind of illness. When we're not making something, we're not whole, we're not healthy. He names the culture that is taking aim at our attention. The commercial pull to constantly buy something, to sit passively in front of our screens, scrolling and never really giving, always taking, always being taken. He offers an interesting form of resistance. Go make a loaf of bread, grab a stick, start carving it. Any action from within that can push against this hypnotic, passive culture. Bruce reaches for a word that's fallen out of fashion here. Submission. Not master-slave submission, but subject to subject. Mutuality, the I and thou. It's how we make love, he says. It's how we receive a poem, a painting, a piece of music. You let down your guard. You take the risk of being changed. He cites Rainer Maria Rilke, as Rilke notices the way art beckons to us. Quote, you must change your life. Here's Bruce Herman.
When I ask the question, what are we? What am I? My first response is, we are in relationship, and we were made by a maker to be makers. And so we are makers. If we let that go somehow, and we become mere consumers, I think we begin to enter into some kind of illness of one sort or another. Maybe as a moral illness, it could be actually mental illness, emotional illness, et cetera. But I think when we're not making something, we're not whole, we're not healthy. And I don't want to make an idol out of health either, but I will say, I do think our culture is unhealthy right now. I think that we are constantly being aimed at by the commercial culture to persuade us to buy products. And not just to buy products, but to sit passively in front of screens now and scroll and just always be taking. We don't think of it that way. We think of it as we're discerning buyers. We can decide what we're going to. But the fact is we're being turned into very passive creatures. And one of the best things you can do is go make a loaf of bread. Go out and grab a stick and start carving it. Anything is resistance to this sort of hypnotic, passive culture that's being, like Neil Postman said, entertaining ourselves to death, amusing ourselves to death. I think our current political situation is mostly political theater. There's very little actually happening of any substance. It's entertainment. And our news services have turned into info-tainment. There's very little real journalism. It's there, thankfully, but there's a whole lot of consumer entertainment.
I want to ask you to elaborate, because if the mode of reception is not properly consumption, what more can we say about a more befitting and dignifying approach to engaging in orienting ourselves toward art?
Well, I think it's the same as it is in some ways, person to person. And I'm going to use a word here that's not very popular these days, and there's good reasons why it's not popular. The word submission. We don't nowadays like that word very much because it seems to point toward slavery of some sort, or some kind of enslavement. But actually, when we make love, when we are in a deep, erotic state, human beings submit to one another. They give themselves away, actually. And that's where the problem of all the sexual sins, if you want to call it that, everything from incest to pornography to adultery, et cetera, all those things are corruption of desire. And they're also a disease. I mean, what they do is they never yield the satisfaction, the joy that comes from mutual submission. Well, the same thing is true in art. I mean, if you want to really receive what a poem is communicating, you have to submit to it. You have to let yourself go and enter into what might feel like a bad risk of being changed.
Yeah.
There's this great poem by Rilke. It's a meditation on a Grecian torso. And he says, at the end of the poem, he says, the torso says to you, you must change your life. And I think what he's getting at there in that poem is what I think a lot of us are trying to do in our art, is to offer the opportunity to the person looking at our paintings or reading our poem or listening to the music to get outside themselves, to give up, to let down their guard, to submit. But not submit in the sense that I'm a master and you're my slave. It's more like you're a subject and I'm a subject. Mutual submission. There's a great story, you may have heard this. Walker Percy, the novelist, said that there was a painting that he once encountered in a museum that just blazed into life for him and took up his entire emotional and psychological and visual field. And he was absolutely hypnotically engaged. And then every time he went back to the museum after that, it was nothing like that. And he was sad. He wanted it to come to life again. But he did discover that whenever he would bring a friend with him, he could vicariously enter into that original blazing encounter. Well, one day he brought a friend who was visiting from out of town, and they went into the museum. And just as they walked into the gallery, and he was waiting for his friend to see this amazing painting, a workman fell through the skylight above and shattered, the glass shattered in every direction. This guy, boom, hits the floor. And Percy happened to turn and look at the painting, and it blazed to life again, the same way it was the first time he saw it. Well, I think that encounter is possible, but some version of it is always possible, it seems to me, if you're willing to let down your guard. Apparently, in Walker Percy's case, and maybe in all of our cases, we're so guarded so much of the time that it takes something catastrophic to open us up again. Suffering of some sort. There was a great bunch of poetry by Christian Wiman, who has suffered greatly with this damn cancer, but it's been the occasion of great poetry because it's opened him up. It's ripped him open, actually, is what it's done. But it also, reading his poems does that to us if we're receptive. And so it's like at the end of Rilke's poem here, you must change your life. You might be changed by this thing, this film, this piece of music, this painting, this poem. And it might not be what you want to become. Yeah. But that's the risk you have to take if you want to encounter a work of art. You have to be open. You have to let down your guard. And that's what I mean by submission.
I think something that would transcend art into public dialogue at the moment, this concept of yours, make out of love, not fear. And I want to ask you what that might look like for artist and someone who doesn't think of themselves as an artist to be creative out of love and not fear right now.
Well, number one, I would say do away with the nonsense that you're not an artist. People that say, I'm not an artist, just forget it. Let go of that. You can't help it. You were made by a maker to be a maker. End of story. So I say, just start making something. It doesn't matter what you make. Like I said, I think making a loaf of bread is a great thing to do. Make a meal for somebody. Make a cocktail, a really good one, and the best you can make for the person visiting you. Show hospitality. I mean, I really do think that the ultimate act of art is hospitality. And there's a great book, by the way, if you want to read it, Real Presences by George Steiner, in which he talks, I'd say a full third of this book is about a kind of intellectual hospitality. He calls it cortesia, but it's the idea that all art comes from a place of hospitality where you're welcoming someone in to make something beautiful for them. Beauty, again, can be complex. It's not just pretty stuff, but make from love, make something for somebody with love.
What do we need to be on the lookout for in the temptation to make out of fear?
You have the fear mongers on the left and on the right. Yeah. I say don't listen to them. Remember that you have a neighbor right next door who probably invited you over for Christmas party or something. Remember that the guy down the street shoveled you out yesterday because he knew that your snowblower was broken. Or when you were sick, they brought you this really half-decent casserole. Now, what I'm trying to say is challenge the bad news with a recognition that daily kindnesses are being poured out everywhere, on every street, in every location. Don't give in to fear, because it's not a basis for anything good. The church has fallen down on the job so many times in this regard, but that's what we need more than anything else is welcome to the festival. Let the festival begin.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
This episode featured Bruce Herman, with a very special thank you to Bill Cross for the introduction. Noah Sentil is our production assistant and editor for this episode. I'm Evan Rosa, and I produce the show. For the Life of the World is a production of the Yale Center for Faith and Culture at Yale Divinity School. For more information, visit us online at faith.yale.edu and lifeworthliving.yale.edu, where you can find a variety of educational resources, including podcasts, videos, books, and more, all to help people envision and pursue lives worthy of our humanity. To get in touch with us, you can email faith@yale.edu, share guest ideas, feedback, concerns, questions, criticism. It's all welcome. If you're a new listener, we're glad you're here. Remember to hit subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you don't miss the next episode. And if you've been listening for a while and you want to support the show, here are just a few meaningful ways to do that. You could share one of your favorite episodes, maybe it's this one, in your next conversation with your family, your friends, or online. You can give us a rating or a review in Apple or Spotify. Or you can go one step further with us and become a supporter of the Yale Center for Faith and Culture. Everything we do, including this podcast, works on the generosity and partnership and friendship of people like you. So if you're interested in making a gift that's within your means, visit faith.yale.edu/give. Thanks for listening, friends. We'll be back with more soon.